All right, Anya. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that or any of the speakers that have just gone. Okay, so I am going to dive a little bit deeper into boundaries because I feel like a lot of us, actually, how many people are up here? 226 of us, okay, including all of us SSDs, could always do better with boundaries. Always, okay? That's actually something that I am going to be working really, really hard on this year for 2022. But setting the expectation as a leader, you have to set boundaries, okay? With your team, with your group, with yourself, with your customers, okay? With yourself, you have to set boundaries for yourself, okay? Because at the end of the day, this business is not our livelihood, okay? It is a portion of our life, yes. Is it very meaningful to a lot of us? Yes. That's why 224 of you, whatever I said earlier, you took the time out of your night with your family to be on this training. That says a lot, okay? That says a lot. So give yourself a pat on the back for being here, okay? But you have to set boundaries with yourself because Scentsy is not your life. It's not. And you have to remember, why did you join Scentsy? Is Scentsy a vessel to something bigger in your life? Is it? I want to hear what are you using Scentsy as a vessel to? Okay. So what is a boundary? Okay. Some of you might not even know what a boundary is. The definition is a line that marks the limit of an area, or it's literally a dividing line. It's literally where you put your foot down and you say absolutely not. Okay. And sometimes saying no is hard. So a boundary is whether you are going to say yes or no to something, okay? And in order for you to set boundaries, you have to know what you want out of this business and what you want out of life and how you're going to get there, okay? So you have to set clear boundaries to grow a booming business. And I'm assuming all of you on here want a booming and huge business, right? That's why if you don't, then I don't really know why you're up here. So just saying. But you have to make these boundaries clear. You have to make them clear for you. I'm sorry. Oh, what are you making clear that you as the leader in your team or group are responsible for? Okay. Your team needs to know what your boundaries are. And you also need to know what your team's boundaries are, okay? So for example, when you sponsor someone, you need to know why they joined. Did they join as a hobbyist? You need to know that. Did they join to make money? Did they join to hopefully leave their full-time job in a couple of years once they grow their business, okay? If you don't know their why, then you don't know what their boundaries are. And I say that because I have been a leader where I didn't know the boundaries of my teamies and I pushed them too far and I stepped over a boundary, even after they told me I don't want to do Scentsy full time. And guess what happened? They quit Scentsy because I didn't respect that boundary. Why? Because I'm someone that sees huge potential in people and I can see that they would be amazing at this, but that's not something that they wanted. Okay, so make sure that you know at least your front lines and your top leaders in your group. You need to know what their boundaries are so you don't cross them. Okay, so let's kind of go back to the boundaries as a leader. Okay, and everyone who's already spoken, they've already kind of touched on this. Guiding and leading the way, not holding hands, right? I'm not going to hold your hand. I will answer your questions to an extent, but if you want me to constantly read a message and ask me, how do I respond to this text? Or how do I ask someone to join? Or how do I book a party? And I've already coached you on that. You've already watched trainings. I've done 1 million trainings. Everyone on here has done 1 million trainings. I'm not going to write it for you, right? Okay, that would literally be like me having the conversation for you. Okay, if you're having a face-to-face conversation with someone, you're not going to stop and then turn to your mom or turn to your sponsor and say, wait, what do I say next? You're not going to say that, right? It needs to be natural, and natural is going to be coming from you, not your sponsor. okay? So, what do you expect from your team as being part of your team or your group, okay? Sharing, posting content. A prime example would be the How I'm Working page. That How I'm Working page, what are you expected to be in that group? To post how you're working, right? And I can guarantee all of the groups here, at least for the SSDs, I can guarantee you that one of the expectations they have is to share how you're working. Whether that's a screenshot of you booking a party today, or if it's you doing samples, or if it's, I don't know, you, whatever, doing a training, right? Sharing a podcast that you listen to that really hit home with you, okay? So, all right. What else do you expect for them being a part of your team, part of your group? Zero negativity, zero bullying, okay? It will be deleted. My team knows that. Actually, when I left for Cabo, I posted on my team page. I had I think 5 leaders step up and say that they were gonna, take care of the page. And so I did a post and I was like, hey, these people are gonna be taking care of the page. I just wanna remind you guys that if there is anything negative, it will be deleted. Okay, immediately. And then I'm going to come to you when I get back and I'm going to say, hey, why did you post this? Negativity is not allowed. I don't care what kind of negativity or bullying it is. It's not okay. And Amber said it correctly. What'd you say? If you allow algae in the pond, then you have a pond full of algae. Okay. Negativity breeds negativity. I don't care what kind of negativity it is. Okay. So, all right. I already talked about that. All right, let's talk about examples of boundaries as a leader. Business hours, okay? Don't be a slave to your team, and even bigger, don't be a slave to your business. That's easier said than done. I get it. It's much easier said than done. But you have a life outside of Cincy, but also just because you're in your business hour range doesn't mean that you need to respond ASAP, okay? Those business hours, they don't mean that we are open to talk to you during those business hours. It means that we are in our office with our head down, getting to work. Whatever that looks like that day, it might look differently. We will get back to you, or you as a leader will get back to your teamies when you have the time to get back to them. So just make sure they're aware. Just because your business hours are from 11 to 4 doesn't mean that you text me at 11 o'clock that I'm going to text you back at 11:01, okay? So just make sure that they're aware of that. All right, group team requirements. This is kind of a new one, and I know for Anchored In and Leaders with a Dream, we've posted, and maybe some of the other leadership groups, we've posted before, probably 6 months ago, that there was going to be a post requirement, right, for leads and above. A certain amount of posts, depending on your title, that you were required to post in the leadership groups, right? Because it's a leadership group. At the end of the day, none of these Facebook groups, team or leadership-wise, is a requirement with Cincy, okay? It's just an extra resource that your leader has provided for you to help you grow, okay? So, group team requirements. We posted that there was going to be requirements, but guess what? We didn't stick to that boundary, okay? We didn't stick to it, which meant that our teamies and leaders didn't stick to it and they didn't follow through with it, right? Because what also comes along with boundaries is that, okay, if someone doesn't respect your boundaries after the first time, okay, number one, they need to know what your boundaries are for them to respect it. Number two, if they don't respect it, then you basically say, hey, this is, the boundary, you just crossed the line. If they step over it again, then that's when you would reprimand them, right? That's when, for example, okay, let's say someone joins your leadership page and they basically sign or they answer the security question saying, yes, I agree to post once a month, whatever it is. They don't post. I go and look. I say, hey, you didn't post for your month. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. Okay. Second time it happens, you get the boot. You're no longer in that group, okay? You're not providing. You're clearly just taking. You're not providing anything. And we don't do that here. We don't just take, we give, Okay. That's part of being a leader. You give and you give. You give more than you take. Okay. All right. Next, use systems and tools. Okay. So this would be a time boundary. Okay. So for the 12 days of Christmas, all of us did, one of the things was to create a YouTube channel. Tell me in the comments if you have your own business YouTube channel. Okay. Tell me in the comments. I know a lot of you made YouTube channels, which is awesome. Okay. Now, this YouTube is going to be part of your time boundary. Okay. Because when I first joined, I cannot tell you, I sponsored a lot. And I cannot tell you how many times I was getting on the phone with new consultants, repeating myself over and over again, literally. Okay. Now I have an entire new consultant startup guide on my YouTube channel, which is saving me so much time. It's saving me so much time. I literally send them a link. Okay. So for example, once this training's over, we're going to save it and we're going to upload it to YouTube. So then we don't have to talk about expectations or boundaries or any of this for the rest of 2022, for the rest of the next 5 years. All we have to do is send a link to our new consultants or our new leaders and say, hey, watch this training. It'll help you. Okay. So utilize that. Okay. Another part of time boundaries is, let's say that you are running your business a lot on Facebook or Instagram. Don't feel like you need to be responding to your DMs constantly, okay? Set a time that you dedicate to responding to those DMs, okay? That's still part of your business, okay? So another boundary you need to set as a leader is your team and group need to know how to contact you, and they need to know how, okay? Do you prefer email? Do you prefer text? Do you prefer call? If you call me and I don't know about it, I'm not answering. If you email me, there's a good chance I'm going to forget to respond back to you, and I'm just going to be really honest. But if you text me, I'm probably going to respond in the next couple hours, like honestly, okay? I'm a text person, but I have people who are more email oriented, and then I have some leaders who are like, I want to get on the phone. And I'm like, okay, that's fine if you want to get on the phone, if that works for your people, okay? And then lastly, what will you not do? What will you not do? Okay, examples: hand holding, answering every single question your teamie has. Okay, not going to do that. I will guide you. I'm going to say, hey, check your workstation, or hey, this is where you can find it, type of thing. Okay, I will not cold message people. Okay, that's a boundary. And then another boundary would be spend X amount of hours on trainings or Zoom. Okay, like we said, since he's not your entire life. So set a specific time amount that you are dedicating to training, okay? So, and then it's never too late to change your leadership style, okay? So if you have been a consultant for 3 years, 2 years, 6 years, 10 years, I don't care, and you're like, wow, like my boundaries suck, like I'm really bad at it, it's never too late to turn that around. Is it going to be hard? Yes, but it's going to be hard for anyone who's been a people pleaser. If we have people pleasers up here, setting boundaries is going to be very hard, okay? But it doesn't mean that it's impossible. You can do it, okay? I'm a people pleaser to a certain extent, okay? So you must enforce your boundaries for them to work. Doing this is going to protect your time and your energy. Otherwise, if you do not set boundaries and enforce them, otherwise you are eventually going to burn out. Okay? You're either going to burn out or your business is going to stay stagnant. Okay? So start early. That's my last thing. Start early. Okay? Start as soon as you have one teamie. Start those boundaries. Okay? That's it. Chloe, your turn.
I don't even know how to go off of all this with you guys. What have you thought about all this content? It's so good. All right. So really quick, what I'm going to talk with you guys about is identity. This is something that is really, really close to my heart. I pretty much, long story short, kind of lost myself in Scentsy because I was so involved my first 7 years,
Yeah.
I was so involved with making everyone happy and doing a million calls, and they want to do a call with me because they need Chloe to motivate them because that makes them work. I was doing so much shit for everybody that I literally lost myself. I looked at him in 2020 and I said, I don't know who I am. Literally didn't know who I was. I didn't know why people were doing this stuff to me in my business they were doing to me. People that I had trained and worked with were treating me a certain way. And I was like, why? Because I allowed it. And because I lost my identity in the mix. So what I want to talk about is identity. Who are you? Not just as a leader, but who are you as a person? A lot of the girls tonight talked about, like, what do you value? What are your dreams? What, you know, when you wake up in the morning, what gets you out of bed? Because I can promise you it's not just, well, I'm going to book a party today. No, like, what gets you out of bed? Why are you booking the parties? Why are you not booking the parties is the better question. So, you know, whatever your identity is how you are going to filter your habits and your daily routines. And so what happened with me in 2020, Justin had to take over all my systems. Like, literally, I don't even know this. I'm not going to get too much into it, but he had to take over all my systems. He had to pretty much work for me for like 6 months. I could not even do mail outs. I was so lost because I didn't have good boundaries the first 7 years of my business. I crossed over business and friendships way too much. If you don't hear this yet, you're going to hear it from me. Stop mixing Scentsy with friendships because you're going to hurt yourself, period. Keep it business. Yeah, you're going to find people that you'll get closer with, but be very careful on who you let into your life outside of Scentsy. This is very, very, very important. That's a nugget right there, because it's going to affect your identity in your business, because you're going to be like, why did this happen? No, you should have never been there with that person to begin with. You weren't even friends with them. You wouldn't even be friends with them if it weren't for Scentsy. So that's very important. Now, next, how can we set expectations for ourselves when we don't know who we are? How can you set a real goal or a real dream when you don't even know who you are as a person and what you value and what motivates you and what your core values are, like to your core, like what matters to you? That's going to affect how you lead. That's going to affect if you have compassion for people and you want to train them and you're going to want to do coaching calls with them. There's no such thing as a sort of leader. You either are going to be a leader or you are not going to be a leader. Leadership is not, I'm just going to like put my toes in. If you want to be a successful leader in Scentsy and in your life, because I truly believe, like Ray was saying, Scentsy is a platform and a stepping stool for you to be a better human and for you to be able to grow financially, spiritually. There are so many things that just doing Scentsy can give you, but you have to jump all in. Like, you've got to just jump in. I did not want to do this call tonight. I have been in my bed since last night, literally got out of bed at 5:30. So I'm not a sort of leader. It's, you know, what's not optional for me to not show up. That's what's non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable for me to not work, because if I don't work, I can't feed my family. These are things that are non-negotiable. If I don't work, I would have to go back to being a nurse, and that's not happening. So it's non-negotiable for me because I know my identity, and I know, and guess what? You can lose it and find yourself. That's okay. I've been there in Scentsy, but just know that if you are being that kind of leader that's just kind of half in and you do it, you're going to work tomorrow, but not the next day, or it's going to add up, and then you're going to get burnt out and you're going to blame your sponsor. You're going to act like there's too much out there and you're overwhelmed. No, you're the only one overwhelming yourself in your business. And if you're saying you're overwhelmed right now, it's because you're not focusing on the 3 things in Scentsy that we talk about, which is PRV, sponsoring, and training. That's it. So if you're overwhelmed, I think you need to look at, even go back to your identity. Like, why are you overwhelmed? When I get overwhelmed, 99% of the time, my husband can tell you, it ain't because of Scentsy, it's because of my own personal problems, literally, that I have to get over. So yeah, leadership isn't just something you do, it's who you are. So I'm going to go off what Ray said. I do think it's important for you to not just be Scentsy. That's very important. That's obvious, right? Because I was just Scentsy for about 7 years of my business, and I did lose myself. But I also think it's important for you to understand that leadership and Scentsy and being a leader, it's a part of who you are. It is who you are. It's not something you do. It's a part of who you are. It becomes a core value in your belief system and in your identity. Your leadership matters so much more than you could ever imagine. A lot of you guys are out there and you're like, I can't do it like this person or that person. You're not supposed to. And I've said this so many times, but I need to reiterate this. Why do you want to be somebody else in Cincy? Be yourself. Be yourself. Okay? Be yourself. Everybody else is taken. Be yourself. Okay? There's going to be great parts about your leadership. There's going to be parts that suck about your leadership that you can work on. But guess what? Be yourself. I don't give a flip what anybody thinks about my leadership. I lead the way I want to lead, and that's that. If they don't like it, they can go to the door and go listen to Linda down the road. I literally don't care. I teach people how to make money and how to build wealth and how to be successful. That's what I do, and I'm confident in that. And you guys need to get to a point where you're not going to get confident until you do, like Ray said. She said this in the comments earlier. You've got to practice, guys. Every single thing in life takes practice. And some people, y'all think you can just wake up and get out of bed and listen to your SSD's YouTube, and then you're going to seize the day, but you haven't even picked up your phone and booked a party since March of 2021. It doesn't work that way. When you see yourself as a leader, this is really important. You stand taller. Leaders think higher, not in a way of like, I'm better, but they are thinking about, I am thinking about what we are doing in our business next week, next month, next year. We are constantly thinking, how can we think higher, think more advanced? You're not a certified consultant, you're a leader. How are you going to amplify your leadership? What are you going to do? You know, and when you're a leader, you need to own the responsibility for the good and the bad. Like, there's a whole lot of leaders out there that are like, oh, my team doesn't want to listen, but some of them may not even trust you. So you've missed the first part, which is they may not be listening to you because they don't trust you, or you're just popping on at the end of the month so you can get paid at title, which really pisses me off. Just so y'all know, if you want to get under my skin, post that on your team page. And I literally will go off because I can't handle that. That is so ridiculous. No, I've never done that for a promotion, anything. I don't agree with that. I know some people do that. Oh, we're this close to a promotion. No, help them promote. Help them promote. So I'm almost done. So like I said, higher level thinking with leaders, especially when you have that identity and you know who you are as a leader and you know who you want to be and you're manifesting that. And I did this year, I am statements before I did my goals, because I wanted to have statements about myself and who I was and what I was going to be before I did my goals. That was superior. I actually haven't even finished my goals yet because my I am statements were much more important to me because that's my identity and my core values. You have an elevated view when you're a leader. You're able to look at a lot. Guys, you have all of your team's information. If you are not pulling reports, if you are not doing these things that we've trained on for years at this point, you are not hurting anybody else but yourself. You should know how to pull a report at this point, and we're not going to get into that. We have several trainings that Justin's done specifically on that. Also, when you are in this type of leadership role, it's not just that when it comes to Cincy being a job, it's not just a job, it's something you're passionate about. I am genuinely passionate, no matter all the people that have hurt me, that have wronged me in Cincy, all the things that I have been through professionally, all of it. The reason I'm still in Cincy is because I'm passionate on the pursuit of helping people be their best selves. That is my core value. That is why I do Cincy. Aside from number one is to feed my family. Number two is to help every single one of you guys do it better than me and quicker than me. And I mean that. And you guys are doing it better and quicker than me now. I love to see when like Tori Farrell and all these crazy PRV people have all this PRV and they're recruiting more than me. I'm like, this is what I trained for. This is what it's about. And then with leaders, you need to tell the truth and be honest. Like the girls were saying tonight, not everybody may not like your cup of tea. Well, they can go get tea from somewhere else. That's totally fine. But this is how I'm going to lead. And if you don't like it, you can lead another way, but I can see your numbers. So have fun with that. I am not going to entertain those things. I am really, really big on leading in love and truth. Love first and truth second, because to be honest, we don't have time to be playing games and talking about excuses for the fourth year in a row in your business. You're either going to do it or you're going to complain. There's no in between. And then also you need to be disciplined. You need to be organized. If you're not an organized leader, quit saying you're disorganized and get organized. There is zero way I could run my business without everything being in place. There is zero way that I could run my business in chaos. And if you're saying that you're a chaotic leader, you need to stop that, because you're going to create a chaotic team and a chaotic group. You need to get it together. You need to get your systems in place. You need to go on your leadership pages and you need to click everything we have for y'all, and y'all need to run a business, period. And then you want to grow your team. How? What are you going to do? Don't tell me you just want to grow this year. How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Motivation is temporary. What in here is making you get out of bed the next day when nobody, we talked about belief, right? What about when nobody believes in you? Are you shifting your belief on if you're around certain people that believe, then you believe, but then you're around negative people, so then you don't believe? What is it? Because if you don't know your identity, you're not going to have an anchored belief system. You're not, because you're going to just go wherever people are talking. Or we talk about this a lot, like, quit wasting your time talking about things that are unproductive. Make money. Like, I don't understand. Like, make money. And then stop procrastinating. I talked about this on my team training yesterday, and I did put it on YouTube, but I was really big on this topic because you are literally suffocating your business every day. You're like, hey, y'all are on this training right now, but what are you going to do tomorrow? And what are you going to do when you get off the training? What are you going to do next week? Elevated thinking, higher thinking. What are you going to do next month? Oh, I got 4 parties booked. Well, boo-boo, if I could not book parties, I would be booking parties until my fingers and my mouth fell off. I would not stop until I reached my goal. I am a superstar director and have literally 2 parties back-to-back this week that are online and 2 next week. And I have a family. But I am doing these things because I know what it takes. There is no loophole. There is no, okay, I'm just going to work it this way. No, you need to work it to where each leg can be successful. And if they're not successful, get on YouTube and learn. It is so simple to see success, but you have to be the one to do it. So the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is just a question. What's your top area to develop this year? I want you guys to pick one area in your leadership. We ain't talking about PRV and parties. If you are struggling with PRV parties, that's basic level. You need to work every day and you need to ask the questions till you book the parties. That's very basic level. I want you guys, and you can comment below really quick if you already know what it's going to be. What is your top area to develop as a leader? And you could do a personal one. So yeah, like organization, you know, I want to stop self-sabotage. I want to stop doing these things, but what is your top area, let's say personally, and then with your leadership that you want to develop this year? And that's what you need to focus on. Don't focus on doing a million things. Focus on doing a couple things really, really well. Is there anything you want to add to that before Katie closes it out?
Yeah, I'll just say something really quick. So,
and this is my husband, Justin.
Hi. So I'll just say something really quick. I mean, these calls are always great when you have, you know, the top producers in the company come together and just kind of share their heart. You guys are very fortunate to have that. I will say that because this is actual, you know, things they're doing to make their business successful. But one thing I want to touch on is something that I'm doing differently for myself and my business. So outside of Cincy, I run a marketing and advertising agency, and I also consult for some different stuff. But don't talk. But what I'm saying is one thing that I wanted to make it a part of for what I'm doing with myself is daily mini habits instead of setting goals this year.
But can we be specific? Because we talked a lot about mini habits last year, and I think a lot of people are keeping these things mini. I think there's been a problem with that. By the way, they're great, but you also got to elevate the habit.
The thing with the mini habits and something that I'm doing this year. So like, for instance, a personal one is every day I'm getting up at 5 a.m. And I didn't want to get up this morning at 5 a.m., but I still did. But it's just one of those things to where once you start getting these things ingrained in your mind, and that's the way habits work. So John Maxwell, I don't know, some of your guys' husbands, or you guys may have read it. He wrote a book called The 5 Levels of Leadership, and he made a quote in there, and it's always stuck with me. And it's why I did the mini habits training last year. He says, I can tell how successful somebody's going to be by looking at their daily habits. And what are your daily habits? And does that look, and here's another thing too, what does success look like to you? And it's different for everybody. What's successful mean to you? Everybody's journey is different. Success to us is being, I mean, you've heard our goals, you've heard what we want to do. Success to Ray may be something different. Success to Amber, all the SSDs may have a different definition of success. But instead of writing a goal down, you need to start thinking of how. And goals are very important. Don't get me wrong. Writing a goal down on what you want to do. Title goals, I don't really like as much because a title, how do you know, the goal needs to be in how you get to the title. And that's why I like the mini habits concept. And so basically what you need to start doing, instead of doing numbers, you need to start doing activities.
Well, which is why it's the action. And here's the deal. The point of a mini habit, I want to be very clear. It's to create like an ingrained habit, right? The point of doing a mini habit is so you create an actual habit, not just, okay, well, I'm going to do a mini habit of one party a month, but you've been doing that all year. That's not it. And I think that's kind of what's happened with that. So I needed to clear that up.
That's why I said the numbers, like, so, and that's another thing. The potential of your leadership is a direct reflection of your habits. All of these things on there. So the leadership potential is something that Chloe is challenging you guys to focus on this year. And so with leadership development, if you don't feel like you're strong or confident enough in your leadership, so do things that make you strong in leadership. In like, you got to do things. So if, for instance, Chloe made a comment earlier. So a mini habit you can have is I'm going to watch one podcast. I'm going to listen to one podcast or watch one YouTube video or listen to one thing or read one page of a book that is on leadership every day.
And you know what's crazy though about me, and I guess it's the difference though in how bad you want it. I would engrave it and learn it and learn it and learn it and perfect it and like mess it up in the process. But I would, like with me, like,
but habits need to be daily.
They do, but I think y'all are leaders. Like y'all need to elevate your habits, honestly.
But still, the habits are important. So whenever and I think when she says elevating the habits, it means like, these are the habits that I'm focused on and I'm going to do, and I hold myself accountable to them.
Well, because as you promote, guys, you're going to have to elevate your habits.
Yeah.
Anyways, you have to.
Yeah, you have to.
You can't do the same thing with a team of 105,000. If you think you can, come talk to me.
Well, yeah. And what I'm saying, and then look, your goals will never determine your success. Your systems do. And that's something that you have to understand, to where if your system, and system is one of those words, I hate when people use system sometimes, because I think it's one of the, a lot of people, you'll say system where it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, I don't understand what a system means. Anything that makes your business more efficient and takes less time away from you having to do something to give you more time to focus on things that matters. That, in my opinion, is the definition of a system. That's what I tell my business. That's what I tell clients I deal with and everything. I'm here to help you create an identity that's going to help increase revenue, make loyal customers for you, to increase your brand and to keep growing you to where you become something that sticks. And that's what you guys are trying to do. You're your own brand. You're trying to make yourself stick. And how do you make yourself stick as a leader? The number one leadership quality, whenever you look to anything from any type of quiz or any type of survey, anything does, when people are looking to leaders, are looking for integrity. They're looking for somebody who is going to call, like, they're looking for integrity. Number one, that's the number one thing. So what I would say to you guys is, whenever you're doing your goals and you're saying how you're going to do something, start your goals off like Chloe did. And I am say, I want to be a leader who loves people. I want to be a leader who does this. And these are your self-talks that you're doing every day. This is what you're going to do. I want to practice integrity. I want to practice this. I want to reach out to this.
Yeah, I am.
All
like
these
one
things.
of my I ams, I think I said, I am an exceptional leader, because I wanted to tell myself that.
Well, it's your negative anybody's negative self-perception. And I walked through this. I went to counseling, and that was the one thing my counselor told me. I had bad negative self-talk. So I literally, he gave me homework where I had to write down stuff on why I was feeling this way, what made me feel this way, because that negative self-talk in your mind will sabotage everything that you're working for.
Well, and you're working with a bunch of women, and not all of them are nice. So you're gonna feel that way, rightfully so. So I do want to also say that, like, there is stuff happening in your business where you can feel that. So you've got to fight it.
And I'll say this too. A lot of people get frustrated with these habits when you start trying to do daily habits. Like, I think last year I did the training. I said, just reach out to one customer a day. That's 30 customers you would have reached out to in a month. Talk to one person a day about recruiting. That's 30 recruiting conversations. If you don't know people, okay, well then guess what? I'm going to join a Facebook group and find a Facebook group of like working moms, parties. There's all these different ways of where you can connect with people. So once a day, I'm gonna figure out a way to connect with 3 or 4 more people. You have to start thinking outside the box and stop. And look, and that's business. I mean, you have to do that. Whenever people ask me how I was able to go get sales, or wherever I'm able to find clients, I go out and find them. If I'm in a rut where I can't find anybody, I join a group. I start trying to get mutual introductions. I mean, look, that's the life.
Like, quit texting your sponsor and being like, I don't know how to do this or do that, and just go on YouTube and like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
So there's just but people get burned out with habits, daily habits, because you don't see the results fast enough. However, it's a habit. Sometimes a habit of working out every day, you're not going to see the results for probably 6 to 8 months. But that's why 92% of New Year's resolutions fail, is because you want to see the result after a week. It doesn't happen. And it's the things no one sees that brings the results everybody wants. So just always remember that it's the things that people don't see you doing as a leader. That's why I love the How I'm Working page and everything, to where you guys can share what you're doing, but it's the things that nobody sees. And I hope this doesn't step on anybody's toes.
Like when we made bring back bar samples on the New Year, on the 1st, I was making bring back bar samples with my husband.
And we were stocking stuff
with my
and
family.
Everything. But what I was gonna say is, I always get, sharing is great. However, there's certain things that you should share and certain things you shouldn't share. And what I will say with Cincy, the great thing about Cincy is, you know, you have a lot of people outside of our group that across the nation that make great content. You have a lot of people that use words, but there's no substance behind them. So you have to be really careful. You have to be really.
You said what you said. He said what he said.
You have to be really careful to actually, and that's why I'm saying, as a leader, you want to make sure you're filling yourself with actual substance that can be shared in a way that it's going to produce the results.
Shared and multiplied.
And that's exactly what you want to do. Words are great, and we can talk till we're blue in the face. We're not doing this for us. Some people may like to get on video and do it for them, but a lot of the times we'll share things because we want to make you guys better. And as a leader, that's the way your mind needs to be. I share because I want to make somebody else better. I may not get any benefit out of it, but I'm sharing because it's going to make somebody's life easier. And guess what? We made $1 billion company.
Yeah, but that's why it's so incredibly sad that, like Ray said, that we have to babysit leaders and take people off a page. Isn't that sad that that's where we've come to, because you guys don't want to post or you're too busy? Well, if you're doing mail outs, take a picture and share the link or whatever. It makes me sad that we have to keep asking for leaders to share how they are leading. So let's stop that. Okay, Katie, you ready to take us home, girl? Where are you at?
I don't even know how I'm supposed to follow all y'all. How am I supposed to follow all of y'all?
Well, that's why we put you last, so we didn't have to follow you. So.
All right, take them to church. Bye.
So this is like the credits of the show, okay? Because literally they killed everything. But the first thing, I did take notes because y'all know I'm a squirrel. The first thing I'm going to say is, going into a new year, have you reflected on the past year? Because how are you going to know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? One of the things that I ask a lot of my leaders or people I work with closely, what do you want out of this business? What do you want to focus on? And if they say PRV, what's your PRV like been the last 3 months? Well, it's been okay. I want to sponsor. How many people have you sponsored? 1 in the past year? You have to know where your focus needs to go going into the new year. Anytime I try something new in my business, I like to focus on it for 3 months before I share it, before I do anything else. I want to see what it does for my business for 3 months. So if you're struggling in sponsoring, what are you doing about that? Because at the end of the day, there is an actual program on how to have a successful Scentsy business on YouTube. It's called Guide to Growth. Everything you could ever possibly want or need to have a successful business is in that program. So when people text me, this is my biggest pet peeve as a leader. This is my biggest pet peeve. When people text me long paragraphs about how their month is bad or why their month is going to suck, especially if it's the first or second, because you can change your month at any given time. I hate it when people start on the second. I'm going to have a bad month because I didn't have no parties booked. So book some parties. Be solution driven. But my biggest pet peeve is when people send me long text talking about everything that is wrong in their business, when they can easily spend that time that they took texting me to find solutions. Okay, your leaders are here to show the way and to share how we work, but your leaders can't work for you. Your leaders are here to pave the way, to make the road a little bit easier so it's not as bumpy, but we can't do it for you. And sometimes When people come to me back to back with all their problems, I can't solve your problems, boo. You don't have PRV, follow up with your customers. You don't have PRV, book parties. You haven't have sponsoring conversations. Your leaders deuced out or your team's deucing out because you haven't showed up in months. Because listen, I'm glad Ray brought this up about the leadership page requirement. It is also a requirement on our leadership page that leads and aboves have to post once a month, and directors have to post once a week. Why? They did not join under me. They don't have a relationship with me. They didn't go to katielasser.cincy.us/join and join under me. They didn't. They don't have that relationship with me. They have that relationship with you. My biggest pet peeve is when people sponsor and then deuce out and then won't take a non-leadership role. Why? It is consider yourself and humble yourself when people join under you. You have got to humble yourself. They joined under you. So you need to show them how you're working. Once a week is nothing. Because I'm going to tell you what, I was in the hospital popping out a baby and people were texting me after I told them I was having a baby, which was very disrespectful, which Ray talked about boundaries. This is going to sound so bad. And y'all know I love my team and I love my group. But your team and your group do not care about you. There may be 10%, 5% of your team or group that care about you, that literally care about you, that want nothing else from you. Because when people text me and they don't say, Katie, how you doing today? How are you doing today? How are you feeling today? How's it? They don't ask that. They say, hey, I saw you posting that stories. Can I get a link for that? Or, hey, can you send me this resources? That tells me they don't care about me as a person. They don't care. I was laying on the hospital bed pushing a child out and somebody messaged me saying, hey, I know you're about to give birth, but what do I do because the Mrs. Potts warmer sold out? They don't care about you. They don't care about you. But at the end of the day, you have these group of people under you, whether you're a lead consultant and you have one person or you're a director and you have 20, 30, 40, 50 people. You have these group of people that are looking to you. The people that you sponsor are looking to you. They're not looking to me, they're looking to you. So when you do out and you think it's okay not to share how you're posting or how you're working, you're doing yourself a disservice, because what happens when you don't do it months from now, then you're going to be complaining to your sponsor. You're going to be complaining to your sponsor. My husband just said you need to tone it down a little bit because he's putting the baby back to sleep. You're going to complain to your sponsor that your team is not engaging, or that your team is not showing up, or that your team is not commenting or participating. You know why they're not? Because you're not. You have to make it a non-negotiable to show up for your team. It would kill my heart if I went a week without showing my team how I'm showing up. Why? They're my people. They joined under me. I spent that much effort talking to them about joining. Why don't I share that much effort to show them how to work? And believe it or not, when you start sharing how you're working, it motivates you to work, because there's many days I don't want to work. But when I share it, it makes me want to work. It makes me want to work. So how I work this year with my team, I simply write my to-do list the day before and I share it on my team page, because I want them to see how I work intentionally. One of the biggest things that I hear is, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't either. I was sick. Baby don't sleep. Nobody's sleeping. We all have issues going on in our life. We all have things going on in our life, but you have to be intentional with the time that you do have. You have to be very, very intentional with the things that you do with the time that you have. So for me, I write a to-do list in the notes section of my phone. I screenshot it and I post it on my team page. They can see how I'm working. I'm showing them intentionally, this is how I'm working. At the end of the day, nobody has a million hours in a day. Nobody has 1 million hours in a day. You have to be solution driven. I didn't have parties booked this month. So yesterday I had an order come in that was like 20 people's orders. And I said, you know what? I need to get parties booked. And I messaged every single person I had to deliver and said, hey, when I deliver your order, can I drop a bag party off with you? 2 birds, 1 stone. Every single person. Some of them said no. Some of them didn't respond. It's fine. But I got 5 yeses from just messaging them. Instead of complaining that I didn't have parties, but you have to be solution driven. So back to this, you have to reflect on your past year. Have you pulled your performance tab, your yearly numbers? Have you gone to your performance tab? I think it's performance and I think it's sales report to see what was your PRV for the whole year? How many people have you sponsored for the whole year? How many promotions in your team? Because if you don't know that, that's an issue. If your team isn't promoting, that's an issue. If you're not sponsoring, that's an issue. And my biggest pet peeve is when people don't practice what they preach. Don't tell your teams to go have 20 sponsoring conversations if you ain't going to do it your darn self. Ray messaged us today in the group chat. You know what I said? I'll do it Thursday. I'm not doing it today. I'm not going to do it today. I forget where I was going with that, but it's fine. Look at your weakest leg after you pull that report. Focus on that heavily for 3 months. Of sponsoring is your weakness and you know it's your weakness. Nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change until you change it. Nothing about your business, nothing is going to change unless you change it. And you have to know what area you have to change before you do anything. Before you do anything, you have to know, pinpoint down to a T, I suck at leadership. And when you can admit that you suck at a certain area instead of hiding it or pretending that you're doing it, why do people pretend they're doing the things when they're not doing the things? You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your own self. You have to know where you're going. You have to know where you're going and you have to know what you need to work on. So work on that heavily. Work on your weakest leg heavily. Be open to trying new things. Be open to learning. Be open to being a sponge. Showing up to trainings like this, watching YouTube videos, that's what's going to grow you. Because if you stay stuck just by yourself, continuing to do the same thing, you're going to drive yourself crazy. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Do not tell your team to do something that you're not doing. Point blank, period. Don't expect from others what you aren't willing to do yourself. Are you telling your teams what to do instead of sharing how to do it? Are you telling them you need to do this? You need to do this. Or are you sharing how to do it? Because with me all day long, it was like, the last year, I'm like, y'all need to book parties. We need to do this. We need to do this. Instead of showing them, here is my verbiage. Here is what I put in mail outs. Here is how I had a sponsoring conversation. Here is how I got people on Sensi Club. Showing them. People are visual. My customers are visual. My team's visual. Showing them the way instead of telling them the way. Because it's a big difference. You're nobody's boss. You are nobody's boss. So just because if you're a director up here and you have a team below you, or you're a superstar consultant, they can go anywhere to get resources. You are not their boss. You are not in charge of people. You are not in charge of people. You are only in charge of yourself. Reading y'all's comments, but trying not to get sidetracked too. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to fail. I think people, they start something, and when they don't get the results that they want right away, or they get discouraged, because discouragement comes in this business. You're going to be discouraged. You're not always going to be motivated. You're not always going to wake up, yeah, go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You're not. You're just not. You have to be willing to fail, because failing means that you're trying. Not failing means you're not doing anything. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to fail. Your results are going to match your effort. Whatever effort you put into this business, you're going to eventually reap the benefits of that. You are always going to reap the benefits of your effort. You may not see it this month. You may not see it next month. You may not see it the month after. You may not see it next year. But I promise you, if you're consistent, you are going to reap everything that you say. You don't have to be extreme. You only have to be consistent. Okay. Y'all have heard that from every single leader that has spoken before. You don't have to be extreme. You have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. So that means you can only do one thing a day. Do one thing a day. It's better than doing no things a day and then doing 20 things in one day, because people know if you're in it or if you're not in it. That's your customers. That's your team. At the end of the day, this is a people business. This is a people business. People are going to remember how you made them feel. Do you make your customers feel valued? If you do, they're going to refer you. They're going to party with you. They're going to join you. They're going to do that automatically. Your team, do they think that they're just a number to you? Or do you care about these people? Do you care about them? And when I mean care about them, I don't mean messaging them, hey, you're going to get active this month because I need to get paid at Title Boom. I ain't got but 3 frontline and I'm a director. And I really need you to get active so I can get paid at Title. Do they know you care about them? One of my biggest joys when it comes to leadership about what I personally love to do, I love to text downline that I have never had a conversation with and tell them I'm proud of them. I love doing it. I love messaging people from deep within my downline and simply saying, I'm proud of you. You're killing it this month. You have the power to empower. Now, and we'll get to preach. I'm really going to have to be quiet. James keeps looking at me like, you're going to be crazy. You got to be quiet. You have the power to empower other people. And it doesn't take these big, immaculate things to do it. It takes your fingers, because you're already on your phone. You're already on your phone. Come on. You're already on the phone. Go to your performance tab, look up their phone number, and text them. Because I'm telling you, there's something powerful. There is something so powerful when you reach deep down. When you reach deep, deep down. And you know what happens when you do that? That means you build connections. And when you build connections with your team, not just your frontline, with your team, they trust you. They trust you. And they'll come to you. It opens the door for conversation for them to come to you to say, I'm struggling in this area of my business. Now, don't get it confused. I've had people text me and say, I'm really struggling. And you got $1 in PRV. You're not struggling, but you're not working. There's a difference. Don't text me saying you're struggling in November, the busiest month of the year, and you're not even active. You're not struggling, boo. You're just not working, and I can't help you with that. I can't do it for you, because we all have a small amount of time. We all have a small amount of time. So what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? It's on you. It's on you. I think I'm almost done, actually. Solution driven, share your to-do list. I think I already said that. What are you going to do with it? You only have a small amount of time. Okay. You're a leader. You have all these resources at your fingertips. Are you contributing to the pot? Are you contributing to the potluck? Because all of these resources that you have, you're waiting. I hope this don't hurt people's feelings, but it is what it is. You're waiting for a monthly leadership call so that you get motivated afterwards. So yeah, you pumped, ready? You ready to do all the leadership things tomorrow? You ready to do all the things tomorrow, right? But what's going to happen when you're tired? What's going to happen when you're running off 2 hours of sleep? What's going to happen when you're sick? What's going to happen when life happens? Are you going to be motivated then? Or are you constantly waiting for somebody to pour into you for you to be motivated? Because I'm going to tell you what, this last year has been hard. And I don't have anybody every single day telling me, come on, girl, get up. You ain't got no PRV, you got to book some parties, you got to sponsor, you got to do this. I don't have it. And I'm not saying this to be boastful. Do not take this the wrong way. I earned annual mentor, annual sales, and top 75. And I had a rough pregnancy. And these last 7 months have been brutal with zero time. But you know what I do? I work late at night. I work if she naps. I work in the school drive-through line. I work when I can. And it's not pretty and it's not large amounts of time. If I know I don't have PRV and I need to book parties, I set a timer for 10 minutes and I say, Katie, you have your list. I already talked about this. Your list that you did at the end of the month of all the people you want to contact the party. So you're going to whip that list out and you're going to start messaging people because you only got 10 minutes. Okay. When I work, it's like survival of the fittest. No joke. I work like this. I'm like, is she going to wake up? Let's get these texts done. Let's do this. It's like survival of the fittest in here. But I know what I have to do. And I don't have to have somebody telling me what to do 24/7. You're not going to have that. If you're somebody that needs constant motivation, my biggest tip for you, and I mean this with all my heart, this might not be for you. You have to do some inner work. You have to do some heart work and realize that nobody's going to come down and save you. Nobody's going to come down and change your circumstances for you. Nobody's going to come down and book your parties for you, follow up with your customers for you, post on social media for you. You have to save yourself. And you have to know why you're doing it. My why has, y'all know my story, so I'm not going to share my story. But y'all, I started to pay for groceries. Then I got home with my son. After I had my daughter, my why completely changed. My why now is I need to love myself fully, mentally, physically, emotionally, because I have a daughter now that is looking at me. And I want her to look at her mama and say, my mama is a badass. Look at my mama taking care of herself. Look at my mama happy, healthy, whole, running a successful business, not running herself in the ground. That's what I want. That's my why. Now, my why is to show my kids that you can do anything. You can do freaking anything that you set your mind to. But nobody can do that for you. That's some deep stuff that you have to work on yourself. And in order for you to do that, you have to work on the inside so that you can portray that to your teams, okay? My goal this year with my team is to go to the background. I want to go back. And I want my leaders to shine. I want my leaders that don't think that they're capable of leading to shine. If that means that I'm now requiring them to post once a week on my leadership page or once a month, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. If that means I'm going to message my lead consultant that just promoted and ask her to do a live video on my leadership page or team page, that's what I'm going to do because I want them to shine. Y'all don't need Katie Laster or Ray Ray or Amber or Chloe. Y'all have heard us for years. Y'all have to rise to the occasion and stop waiting for a training and do the training. Stop waiting for the training and do the training. You think you got something that needs to be said? Do a training. You don't have to wait for higher titles to do these things. You do them. If you're a lead consultant and you're killing it in your business, link up with somebody and do a training. Do your own training. I started doing trainings when I was a lead consultant every week. Don't do that. Don't do that. You'll burn yourself out quick. Every week I did a training. Nobody's going to make you do it. Nobody's going to make you work. I got it all backwards. Nobody's going to make you work. Your team is looking at you. What you do is going to trickle down into your culture. So if you're a superstar consultant and you don't show up for your team at all, what do you think your team's going to do? Your team's not going to show up because they're going to say, well, she don't show up. Why should I show up? And guess what's going to happen? What if we all stopped showing up? What if we all stopped showing up? What if we all stopped sharing what we were doing in our business? What if we all ghosted? Would your business survive if people stopped sharing with you? Ask yourself, that's a serious question. Ask yourself that. Would your business survive if people stopped giving you resources? If people stopped showing you, if people stopped showing you how they are working, would your business survive? If the team pages were deleted tomorrow, leadership pages, if that was deleted tomorrow, my business would survive. Because I don't run my business on what other people are doing. I look at my customers and I say, thank you for your order. Do you want to get some free stuff? And I care. At the end of the day, you just love people and you love them and you love them hard and everything else solves itself. I done got on a rampage. Darn it. last thing, and then I'm done because I know y'all have heard everything. Be selective with your energy. Please be selective with your energy. I used to entertain everybody's problems. And then when my kids went to bed and I would lay down beside my husband, I'm like, damn, I am tired. But I'm not tired because of anything I did. I'm tired because such and such has got this going on and they got this going on. And I've collected everybody's problems that I cannot solve. Be empathetic. Yes, I'm a very empathetic person. I can read energies. I love people. But if you have people that are messaging you in your team, in your group, where it's constant complaining, and they don't ask how you're doing, you gotta let it go. And it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt you because you're gonna think, oh, she's gonna be mad at me. But you can't. You have to protect it. You have to protect your peace because you only have this much. And at the end of the day, my kids and my husband were getting this of me because people that I don't even know, that haven't even asked how I'm doing, are sucking me dry. But guess what? It's my fault because I allowed it. So all that constant messaging with complaints all day long got me sidetracked from my personal business, from me working with the people that wanted it, from me booking parties, from me following up with customers. All that energy went into trying to solve people's problems that they're not even willing to solve themselves. And it's not that you don't care, but you have to be very, very selective with who you give your energy to. Very, very selective. Okay, so this is the last thing, and then I'm done, I swear. Your homework, and I did this on New Year's Day. This is the first time I've ever done this. And it was hard, and I cried the entire time, but it's fine. I want you to write a letter to yourself as if this year has already happened. That this should say 2022 is done. It is New Year's Eve. That's where I want you to go. Close your eyes. You're on New Year's Eve, 2022. Year's about to turn to 2023. I want you to write a letter to yourself about this year. Look at yourself a year from now, and look at yourself and write a letter to yourself. Write a letter to yourself, and I want you to seal it. Seal it up. Put it in an envelope. Hide it from yourself. Do not read it until New Year's Eve. Write a letter to yourself and make yourself proud. I'm like this, and I might be the only one like this. I will always commit to everything that I say I'm going to do. I will run myself ragged for everybody else. I will put everybody before myself. And I said this year, I was not going to do that. I said this year, I was going to make myself proud. So when I wrote my letter, I wrote it from a place that all my goals for my personal life, not just Scentsy, all my goals for my life, for my business, for my family, I wrote that letter like all of them have came true, that all of that had happened. Ultimately, you have to be proud of yourself. You have to stand firm and be proud of the work that you do and confident in the work that you do, because if you're not, nobody else is going to be. And I love my team and I love my group with all my heart. There's nothing, I'm not even going to say that. I will do almost anything for them. But they are not your whole life. And yes, showing up for them consistently is very, very important, but you cannot lose yourself in that process. You cannot lose yourself in leadership, because once you lose yourself, you're not going to know who you are. You're not going to know how to lead. You're going to start questioning every single thing that you do in your business. One person's going to be mad because they got to post on the leadership page once a week and they're a director and now they got their panties all wadded up. And you're going to take that as, am I making the right decision for my team or for my group? Am I a good leader? You're going to start questioning those things about you. You need to be very firmly planted in the leader that you are. But in order to be the best leader that you can be, you have to show up for them. You have to show up for them. And that's simply sharing how you're working. So I want each of you guys to write a letter to yourself as if this year already happened. And I wanted to be detailed. Mine was detailed. Mine was long and detailed. Y'all know I ramble. Y'all can only imagine how my letters are. Write it. If you're having a baby, what did that moment feel like when you held that baby for the first time? You earned the incentive trip. What did that feel like when you went on that trip? You're building your dream house. What did that house look like? What did it smell like when you walked in it for the first time? Detailed. You're trying to lose weight or get healthier. Write a letter to yourself, telling yourself how freaking proud you are of yourself, like it already happened, and read it. So my question is, it's a new year. It's a new month. It's a new year. It's a new day. You are in control over how your month and how your year is going to be. Are you going to make yourself proud? Or in a year from now, are you going to say, damn, I wish I would have pushed through those temporary feelings. I wish I would have pushed through. I wish I would have taken 5 seconds to build a house, to book a party. I wish I would have taken 5 seconds to tell that girl she would rock this business. Whether you believe it or not, one thing can change the course of your entire business. One person can change the course of your entire business. One small action can change everything about your business. And you don't know what that action is going to be. But if you're consistent, you're never going to have to wonder a year from now, could I have done better? Could I have challenged myself? The problem I see a lot with my leaders is they compare and they compete. They compare and they compete. And the only person you should be comparing yourself or competing with is your person. I don't look at numbers in my group to compete. I look at numbers in my group so that I can show them love, so that I can celebrate them. The only person I compete with is myself. Okay, Katie, how much PRV you do last month? You think you can top yourself? How many parties you booked last month? You think you can top yourself? How many sponsoring conversations you can have? You top yourself because you should be competing with yourself, nobody else. Nobody else. You should be competing with yourself. So that's your homework. Write down your dreams as if they've already come true. And then on New Year's Day, read it. Read it. And make yourself proud. Don't just write it and forget about it, but write it. And then make yourself proud this year. Step it up. Push the boundaries. Stop settling. Stop doing bare minimum. So I'm done because I can go on and on. Now that I know got started, I can keep going. I'm done. I love y'all. Shock yourself. Stop waiting for somebody else to do it for you. Do it. There's a reason why all of us are only doing quarterly calls. You know why? Because it's time for y'all to start doing them. It's time for y'all. We got some top 75 earners. Y'all need to be getting together and doing a training together. Some top PRV. Go look at the banner. Go look at the banner on Anchored In. Y'all need to be linking up. Do not wait for us to message you to do a live video. Do not wait for somebody to beg you to do a training. Do it. Because guess what? You're not doing it for me. You're not doing it for Chloe or for Ray Ray. You're doing it for your leaders in these groups. Your people need to see you. Your people need to see you. All right, I'm done. I'm done now, I swear.
So
I'm done. I love y'all.
It's so good. So we're going to end it. That was insane. I'm going to split it up into 2 videos. I'm going to stop the recording.